more Americans are working, more have health insurance, incomes are rising, poverty is falling, and gas is $2 a gallon. Thank you for reminding me. Thanks, Obama.
That was the president touting how he has turned this economy around. Now, he's kind of right. He's sort of right. Americans did see a bigger paycheck last year, the first significant hike since 2007. But here's the thing. The annual income of the typical U.S. home is still less than it was before the recession. It's nearly $1,000 less. Take a look at that, $57,004 and change versus $58 and change. All right, labor force participation rate. This is a biggie because this shows you the number of Americans that are actually looking for work, going to work. It was 66% before the recession. Now it's at a level we haven't seen since the 1970s. In other words, people have either given up or just said, you know, there's no point. So are we really better off now? Alan Colmes, Mark Serrano, back with me for a spirited discussion as always. I'm going to start with Alan for a change. Are we better off?
Yes.
Why?
Because. Look, what did the president say that was not true? Yes, there are certain people not in the workforce, largely because the baby boomer population, aging population. That number by itself doesn't mean a whole lot unless you look at the totality of the population. You got 5.2% increase of income, average family making $58,000 a year now, save General Motors. You got 15 more million people who have jobs. The Republicans are going to have to make the argument that the economy is worse than it was at the end of 2008 if they want to somehow put down what Obama's accomplished over the last 8 years.
It kind of is, though. I mean, when you look at how much people are actually earning, I mean, I think the wage number is a pretty big one to be watching.
5.2% increase in family income.
For that one actual time. But when you look at it over an 8-year spread, what you actually see is your average family has less money today than they did
compared to the economy to what it was. Stock market's more than double. Compare this to the economy.
Alan, you brought that one up before.
But that affects people's 401ks and people's savings. That has a lot to do with how much money people have in the bank.
Money in the stock market.
Right.
But the reality
most people do with their jobs with 401ks.
A lot of Americans don't.
The average American has affected by that.
And I'm not blaming President Obama for this. I blame the Federal Reserve for this, for leaving interest rates at zero for so long and creating an environment where only those with capital can really prosper. I mean, they were trying to do the right thing, but they have been unsuccessful in terms of being able to really fundamentally change this economy.
Right.
Yeah, the S&P's looking good, but again, it rewards those with capital, so inadvertently they have helped create an environment of exasperated income inequality.
Look, for Obama to say that this economy just got a little bit better is kind of like saying hell just got a little bit colder.
Oh, come on.
Okay? That's exactly what it's like. Because before 2015, median income was down $4,000 per household from 2007. So it only just got a little bit better. Before a year ago, that's where it was.
How are things working out at the end of the Bush administration? Pretty good?
We can go back to Bush.
No, you know what, Alan,
where's the responsibility? We spent $20 trillion, 10 of it in the last 8 years. What good did it do us? What good did it do us? It didn't fuel growth in our economy. We have 1.1% GDP right now.
The case that he's failed on the economy. You can't make that case.
Why do you think this is? I mean, politics aside, is this in part globalization? Is this change where, you know, we have become so much more efficient that we don't need workers the way we did before?
Well, the economy does change. We're not a manufacturing country anymore, much as Trump will say, I'm going to bring back manufacturing, because he's not. That ship has sailed.
Well, why can't you, Alan? I mean, why have such a fatalistic attitude?
Because we have moved on. We're an information technology country.
No, it's about slow growth.
We're not a manufacturing country.
It's about tax and spend. It's about the fact that we didn't fuel growth. We need free market growth, and that's what Trump wants to do with the tax cut.
I want to tell you that when President Obama was elected, there was a lot of optimism out there. They thought that, you know, he was going to be the big hope and change guy.
He has been.
CEOs were excited. And then they realized that he wanted to put a ton of regulation in.
You can't say there's been no results.
And they started backing off.
The numbers speak for themselves. Everything he said yesterday was true.
It's anemic, Alan. It's anemic.
Not anemic.
The growth is anemic. And working class people are the ones who feel it the worst.
15 million people now
it's the establishment who don't connect with them and don't understand them.
I'm going to just
jump in. Tell that to the auto industry.
I'm going to jump in with some facts and figures. We've been looking at basically 1 to 2% GDP growth. That is not good.
Pathetic.
You need a whole lot more than 1.1%, which is what we got in the second quarter. The other point, wages, not good. You say 15 million people have gotten jobs. Okay, sure, Alan, but you know what? A lot of those are part-time jobs. Part-time jobs. And Obamacare has helped create an environment for more part-time jobs.
Look at all the people who have health care now who did not have health care before. Look at General Motors, which got saved. You don't like to talk about the stock market, but it affects everybody because of their 401ks. So
but you're ignoring the point about part-time jobs.
About what's happened to
the types of jobs that have been formed. There are still people from 07 and 08 who cannot get fully employed.
And I think that the stock market is a great point, but again, it affects people with money, with skin in the game, who can take those chances because the Fed, and I'm not blaming Obama for this, the Fed has pushed people further and further and further out on that risk curve.
Well, at some point, they will be raising interest rates, and we'll see.
Income inequality. Thank you so much, Alan and Mark.
Thank you, Trish.